First of all, what is the tree of life? The wisest man who ever lived, like in wisdom, the fruit of the righteousness and longing fulfilled to the proverbial tree of life. Proverbs 3:18, Proverbs 11:13, Proverbs 13:12. Such exemplars of beauty and blessing, however, find ultimate root in two gardens with Gilgata in between. In the beginning, the tree of life stood as the centerpiece of the Garden of Eden. When Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, the tree remained a memorial to paradise lost. God placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim and flaming swords flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. Genesis 3:24. Furthermore, standing on the other side of his story, the tree of life is rooted in an eternal garden, this time a memorial to paradise regained. The angel of the apocalypse showed John the apostle of the apocalypse, the river of the water of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb down the middle of the great street of the city. On each side the river stood the tree. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. No longer will there be any curse. Revelation 22:1-3. To him who overcomes, Jesus said, I will give the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. 2:7. Finally, the tree of life stands on Golgotha's hill as the falcon of history. And Jesus stretches one hand towards the Garden of Eden, the other towards the eternal garden. The immortality, that the first Adam could no longer reach, the second Adam touched in his place. Thus Jesus vanquished the power of evil, giving ultimate victory to the knowledge of good. What is the tree of knowledge of good and evil? The tree of knowledge of good and evil is a prime example of physical realities highlighted in spiritual truth. John 3:12. To begin with, God placed the tree in the middle of paradise as a test. Satan prevented or Satan perverted it as temptation. And eating from the tree about which God said, when you eat of it, you will surely die. Adam challenged God as an arbitrator of good and evil, Genesis 2:17. Furthermore, the tree of knowledge of good and evil is the symbol of choice between obedience and disobedience, between majestic revelation, God's truth, and moral relativism, my truth. Finally, though Adam sinned, God responded with mercy, drove Adam and Eve from the garden so that he no longer had access to the tree of life. To do otherwise would have doomed humanity to an endless physical existence in a fallen spiritual condition, which is precisely what hell is. Hell, however, can be averted and paradise regained. As Adam's descendants, we can yet embrace the tree of life, where the personification of all that is good paid the ultimate price to take all that is evil upon himself. Was Eve deceived by a talking snake? First, to read scriptures literally is to read it as literature. This means that we are to interpret the Word of God just as we interpret other forms of communication. In the most obvious and natural sense, thus, when Moses uses the symbolism of the snake, we do violence to his intention if we interpret him in a wooden literal fashion. Furthermore, literalist interpretation does as much violence to the biblical text as spiritualizing interpretation that empty the text of all objective meaning. If the historical Adam and Eve did not eat the forbidden fruit and descend into a literal habit of sin resulting in death, there would be no need for redemption. If, on the other hand, Genesis were reduced to allegory, conveying merely abstract ideas about temptation, sin, and redemption, devoid of any correlation with the actual events in history, the very foundation of Christianity would be destroyed. Finally, when the prophet Moses describes Satan as an ancient serpent, and the apostle John describes him as an ancient dragon, they do not intend to tell us what Satan looks like. They want to teach us what Satan is like. Dragon, after all, are the stuff of mythology, not theology. If we think of Satan as either a slithering snake or a fire-breathing dragon, we would not only misunderstand the nature of fallen angels, but we might suppose that he's just triumphed over the work of the devil by stepping on the head of a snake, Genesis 3:15, rather than through his passion on the cross, Colossians 2:15. In short, Eve was not deceived by a talking snake. Rather, Moses used the symbolism of the snake to communicate the wiles of the evil one. deceives Eve through mind-to-mind communication precisely as he seeks to deceive you and me today.